Hey, Dr. Jon Finn here. Welcome to the Habit Mechanic podcast. Right now, you can get my new best-selling book, Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution, at tougherminds.co.uk. The digital book, audiobook, and physical book are all available at a special price that you won't find anywhere else. Hello, Habit Mechanics. It's Dr. Jon Finn here. I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. Welcome to a shorter episode of the Habit Mechanic podcast. Remember, you can listen to live episodes of the Habit Mechanic podcast inside the Habit Mechanic University app, where you can ask us questions live and we will answer you during the live streamed podcast. Inside the app, you can also access your Habit Mechanic toolkit. You can also watch our live masterclasses and join our live Change Challenge coaching sessions. You can download the app for free. You can only learn by failing. That's the key. And I fail every day and I will continue to do so. But it's what you get out of the failure that's key. So you can dwell on it, you can beat yourself up, you can regret. But I was on LinkedIn yesterday and someone had a post that said, my grandma said there's 2 days that you shouldn't worry about: yesterday and tomorrow. Focus on today, in other words. And I just thought it was really interesting, the wisdom of grandparents. But we can certainly learn from yesterday, and we can use those insights to help us to be our best tomorrow. So be our best today and be our best tomorrow. But yeah, I spent a lot of my teenage years playing sport. So luckily I was able to get some lessons out of those. And one of them was certainly really important in pushing me into what I do today, helping people to become habit mechanics through Tougher Minds.
And it certainly was the start of a very long and substantial journey for you. Obviously, academic study and then practical application in the world of business, education, and elite sport of the things you develop with Tougher Minds, and you arrive today with the Habit Mechanic book, an Amazon bestseller, and the Habit Mechanic University app, and the Tougher Minds consultancy. How did the journey pan out, if you like, from your realization, and then as you started to develop Tougher Minds as an organization, and offer what you do now to people? How did that journey take shape?
Yeah, so I did my dissertation in sports psychology, and I actually looked at the role of imagery in golf, and I was really interested in how the difference in imagery use, imagery effectiveness in very good golfers, in simple terms, to kind of beginner golfers. So I did a qualitative dissertation on that, literally interviewing golfers, how they used imagery. And then I went off to work in America via something called Camp America that people might be familiar with. So the summer after I finished my undergraduate degree, I went off to America, not knowing what grades I'd got or anything, which obviously you needed to understand your grade before you could position yourself to get to the next thing you were going to do, whether that was more study or jobs, etc. And I got a really nice, surprising email that said I got a first class in my dissertation, which meant I got a 2-1 in my degree, and which meant I could do a master's in sports psychology at a top, institute. So engaging and getting interested in the sport psychology piece, led to that dissertation being pretty good because I was genuinely interested in it. And then I went to study a master's in sports psychology at a different institute with some really, really groundbreaking researchers, really interesting people doing research for organizations like NASA and supporting athletes that were winning gold medals at the Olympics and breaking world records. And they were really interested. Some of the sites were really interested in the emerging neuroscience. So the technologies allowing us to look inside the brain in real time, functional MRI scanners, were becoming accessible, affordable enough for research institutes to buy them. At that time, I think the French government had invested in a lot of these machines. So all the papers we were reading were from French researchers. So I just got them more and more interested in it, and also some of those psych people that were working at the highest level in an applied way as well, not just research. And then I got a job after my master's in professional sport. Essentially, I worked for a technology company called Prozone. They were the first company in the UK to offer a solution that allowed sports teams to measure player activity on the field. So how far players had run, how many passes they made, how many tackles they made, etc. And essentially they fitted cameras into stadiums, and they would use that information to create data packages, if you like, that coaches could use to inform their practice. Arsene Wenger was a big early adopter. Clive Woodward was for the England rugby union team. So I was working with the coaches to show them how to use the software and interpret the results. And obviously that was about measuring and monitoring behavior ultimately. So it fit really well with my sports psych stuff. The South African rugby team at the time was using it as well. And I remember I got the opportunity to analyse a guy called Percy Montgomery, who was the very famous South African fullback, analysing his routines, his pre-shot routines, if you like, pre-kick routines, and noticing the difference when he made successful kicks versus when he didn't. So really taking all this academic theory that I've been learning and put it into practice. That got me on some of the backroom staffs of some of these teams. It led to me wanting to learn even more, so I ended up doing a PhD to dig deeper into. I was interested in the transition between, why the very best 18-year-olds, for example, in football, might not always be deemed worthy of having a professional football contract when they're 22, 23, 24 years old. Why is that transition from being an excellent young professional athlete to an excellent seasoned professional athlete so challenging? So I did my PhD work on that, looking at the role of emotional regulation. I also worked at Carnegie, the sports faculty of what was then Leeds Met. So Carnegie is a very prestigious sports and education centre, which was one of the original PE training colleges, along with Loughborough. So I got to teach and create applied sports psychology modules. I taught physiology as well. I taught motor control. Alongside that, I was working for the Professional Golfers Association, where I created something called the pre-shot system to make it easier for coaches to train their golfers to think and perform under pressure. And then I got the opportunity to take all that stuff that I've been working on and go to work for a set of schools called the Monmouth Schools, which are a group of private schools in Wales, probably the top private school in Wales. People call it the Welsh Hogwarts. It's that kind of place. And the remit was basically, we want you to infuse performance psychology, sports psychology into the day-to-day lives of our young people. I had 2 years to do it, a blank piece of paper, and it was phenomenal experience, and learnt lots. Managed to do some really good work there. We wrote a paper about some of that work actually, which was interesting. But that work got a lot of press attention because it was in the build up to London 2012, and we'll probably dig into some of these stories, I would imagine, later in the podcast series as well. But other schools wanted this same approach. A school called Colts in London, who we still work with now. Actually, we've been working with them this is our 10th year of working with them. They wanted to kind of plug our program into what they were doing as well. They saw the value of developing their young people to be resilient, and which was pioneering at the time. And essentially, so we had the sport, we had the education, and also we were working at university level education as well, working on things like PhD residential programs, so all the way through that educational journey. But essentially, we recognise the importance of training parents in what their children were learning. So we'd always have parent training programs as part of our school programs, and the parents essentially said, this training is much better than anything we get at work, so can you come into our businesses and do this for us as well? And that's what took us into the City of London at the request of the parents, introducing us to their employers. And in there somewhere is where Tougher Minds emerged. I think Tougher Minds really emerged after my first consultancy was called Performing Beyond Potential. And Tougher Minds, I think, emerged after Monmouth. That very specific name and, the rebrand, if you like. So yeah, that's a potted history of part of my life. Thanks for listening to the Habit Mechanic podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe and tell someone else about one of the ideas or insights that you found most interesting.